to kick it off, I'm Lauren, for those of you that I don't know, working on BD and growth stuff here at 3 Box Labs. To kick it off, maybe to start, we have some new team members who have joined since our last community call. So maybe Rohan and then Sam, do you guys want to give some quick intros to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lauren. Hey, everyone. It's great to be here. I joined 3 Box Labs a few weeks ago to working as a partner engineer. So I'm looking forward to helping everyone get their applications built on Ceramic and help out in any way I can. So with that, yeah, I'll hand it off to you, Sam.
Thanks, Rohan. Hey, I'm Sam. I joined just last week. I'll be supporting on both the operations and finance side and helping to drive progressive decentralization of Ceramic. So looking forward to working with all of you.
Awesome. I think in our Jan community call, we talked a little bit about our roadmap for the year ahead and some of the things that we're working on. We'll aim to start today giving you guys a quick update. And then obviously as you go, I think we've messaged this a little bit in our Discord, but through this year, we'll aim to do a better job of kind of sharing with you guys what our team is working on and what we're thinking through and making that really clear and making sure we're aligned with the community. For today, I wanted to start something we've been talking a lot about is the Go Ipfs migration, and we are finally here. So I'll let Val, who's been kind of leading the charge and a lot of work, Val and Mohsen on our side have been spearheading that. So I will turn to you guys to give kind of a quick update to everyone on where we're at.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, for those who haven't been to these, or if we missed each other in one of these calls, I'm Val. I'm one of the platform engineers on the 3 Box Labs team. So I've been helping people run Ceramic and IPFS that accompanies it. So previously we've been running JS Ceramic with JS IPFS. We're now migrating to Go Ipfs. And so just the kind of TLDR so far on the progress with that is our dev network is currently running Go. So we're doing some testing on that and getting pretty close to having all of that ready. And then we'll be fairly soon moving that over to our Clay testnet as well. And then eventually to the mainnet. And I'll leave others to talk about Ceramic 2, but the Ceramic 2 release will include moving to Go Ipfs. So in terms of people who are currently running nodes or thinking about running nodes, you're going to want to be running the Go Ipfs version once we fully release that in JS Ceramic. And basically, we're going to write a blog post that describes how to do that migration, but it's fairly straightforward. So depending on your current infrastructure setup, you might have some minimal changes. But the most important thing to call out is we currently have a peer list that is a list of all the JS IPFS nodes that are connected to the Ceramic network. As we move to Go Ipfs, we no longer need that peer list. So you won't have to go through the step of adding your peer to that repository. So you can just run the node kind of whenever you want, and you'll be able to instantly connect to the rest of the network. Some things to pay attention to are your data format. So we created a plugin so that as you migrate from JS to Go, your data format's not going to change. But based on what configuration settings you had for the JS version, you might have to do some changes there to make sure that it's pointing to the right place when you have the Go version. So again, we'll put all of the details of that into a blog post, but it's just kind of a heads up for people who are currently running nodes. And then if you're thinking about running a node and you haven't yet, what we kind of recommend is that you might start experimenting with the JS version, but don't set up something in production on JS because you're going to pretty quickly have to migrate to Go. So that's from the platform side. And I guess if there's anything I missed, then people from the network side can fill in.
Any questions on that from people on the line? Cool. Yeah, this is a really big milestone and step for us, and hopefully will lead to a lot of performance increases and also another kind of milestone for us to hit on the way to fully open mainnet. So very exciting. Thanks, Val and Mohsen, for all the work you've been putting in over the last couple of months on this. If no questions, Sergey, I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit about some updates on Ocaps. For those of, I'll let Sergey kind of do an overview. I'll also post for those who are not familiar with this. Sergey and Joel authored a great blog post on this a little while ago, so I'll post it in the chat if you want to read about it a little bit more after the fact.
Thanks, Lawrence. So we strive to make SRAM more secure, more safe space for users' data. And one of the approaches here is to provide more strict or attenuated access control patterns with the help of object capabilities. It's a datum that allows a particular cryptographical person to do some particular action. And we're like on the final stages of the development of POC, fully usable. Support on the protocol level is almost done, and we're heading towards fully usable POC with React. Could see how it works with the just Ethereum wallet, like 3ID Connect would be required to provide very strict access to users' data.
Joel, I think you.
Well, basically, this is it. Pardon?
Sorry, Sergey, you're freezing a little, at least for me. I think for everyone here. Well, I think we got most of it. It was just at the end. Joel, is there anything you want to add? And maybe do you want to talk a little bit about like where we are in the roadmap, what's like coming next that we're working on? Anything else you want to add more color to, Joel?
No, I think we covered everything that's like upcoming pretty well. After kind of the major Ceramic 2.0 release with Go Ipfs support and hopefully the capability support, we will shift gears and focus more on something called TipSync, which is basically a way to scale the query protocol of Ceramic. So it'll make it easier for the network to kind of scale beyond.
Shouldn't have to run it there.
Excuse me? Okay, maybe that was a mistake. Yeah, so essentially it's like enabling greater scale without having to rely on, basically we have a bottleneck in the Ceramic protocol right now in making queries over a single PubSub topic. But yeah, I don't want to get in too much into the weeds there, but the TipSync using the IPFS DHT is the next kind of major milestone after Ceramic 2.0.
Again, I guess open floor. Any questions from anyone dialed in or anything you want to know more about? No worries. Okay, if no questions on Ocaps specifically, we do, got a question. Is Ceramic 2.0 going to be backwards compatible? Joel, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so 2.0 simply means that the JavaScript packages have breaking API changes. We are focusing the new release to use Go Ipfs instead of JS Ipfs. But in terms of like the protocol itself, there are no breaking changes inside of the protocol. So any stream that's created on the previous Ceramic node should work in the new on the new Ceramic node. And the HTTP API that's exposed by a Ceramic node should also be compatible. So if you're using a JS Ceramic 1.x in your dApp, you should be able to still talk to a Ceramic 2.0 node. So that's kind of high level there are no like protocol breaking changes, but it's an API breaking change.
Cool. Any other community questions? If not, we're going to move over to some demos. So last call, we can reopen the floor for more questions towards the end. But okay, really quick before we go to the demos, just to let everyone know, our team will be at ETH Denver. So if you're going to be there, definitely let us know. Pop into the Discord. We'll have a booth, so come find us, come chat with us. Michael's giving a talk. Joel's giving a workshop, I think, at the beginning of the hackathon. So we'll be posting all of that. We posted a quick blog on that, but definitely come find and chat with us if you'll be there. I think let's start with, I think we have both folks on the line. Maybe Matt, I see that you're on from Soleil. Matt worked on a hackathon project at the Chainlink Hackathon using Ceramic. Would love to have you kind of just quickly present and demo what you're working on.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so am I okay to share my screen? Cool. So yeah, I did a submission for the Chainlink Hackathon in fall. A project called Soleil, and got the demo site here. So it's gone into a bit of disrepair because I haven't really been working on it since. But the idea for the project was basically like a pool where users can put stablecoin funds in, and solar panel owners sign up to the system, and based on the amount of energy that they generate that day, they get paid some of the stablecoins. So it's kind of like crowd incentivizing the whole solar industry in a way. So yeah, here's like a little thing of how it works. Like users would put money into the contract and say they want to distribute it over so many days. Solar panel owners, yeah, get some based on how much energy they generate that day. And as a reward, the other users are rewarded in like a native token. And then you can kind of like grow an economy around that token as kind of like a way of indirectly fighting climate change. So yeah, like I'll just get the architecture diagram up if it's here. So the system I had was like Chainlink nodes kind of fetching solar energy generation data from monitoring APIs, and collating that data and putting that into a Ceramic data stream. And then other Chainlink nodes kind of looking at that and generating another stream, which is kind of like the earnings data for the solar panel owners and the users of the site. And then posting just a Merkle route of all that data on chain so that users can claim their earnings. So yeah, like basically just I used Ceramic because it was just a really neat way of having a lot of data kind of publicly available in a decentralized way, kind of getting all the benefits of IPFS, but still being able to have the Chainlink nodes just refer to a single address while the state is kind of changing and updating all the time. And I think that's about it. Any questions?
What was the hardest part about hooking all the end-to-end system up?
Let me think. I found, well, yeah, I probably did a pretty crude implementation with Ceramic because it's kind of my first time learning about it. But that wasn't too bad, I didn't think, using that. I guess it's just so many moving parts in this. yeah, I wouldn't say there was one specific bit that was the hardest part.
And Matt, I know you mentioned you're not continuing to, I guess, work on it super actively. What are you working full time in Web3? Like, what was your experience with the Chainlink hackathon? Was this like your first foray into the space, or?
So I'd done the other Chainlink hackathons before this as well. I actually won the first one with a project called Link My Ride, which was to do with like decentralized Tesla renting. But with this project, I was kind of encouraged to apply for a grant from Chainlink, but I did a bit more research into it, and it wasn't going to work legally, I don't think, because the monitoring APIs, they kind of hold the data. They don't want people kind of like, I think they would construe it as reselling the data. So I kind of dropped it there, but yeah. But yeah, I'm working kind of as a contractor for yeah, another company in the Web3 space at the moment.
Someone else can ask a question or jump in.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I thought someone else was trying to ask a question, so just
Oh.
before I moved on.
Yeah, I was wondering if you can describe a little bit like how you stored the data in Ceramic, just like what was like the structure of that data, and how did you go about doing it?
Try and remember. I think so. I had a file that kind of a script, sorry, that created the streams, and then had Chainlink external adapters that would kind of authenticate with the stream and just add data onto it, I think. I'm struggling to remember, to be honest, because it's been a while.
Yeah, no worries.
If no other questions, thanks so much, Matt, for coming in to demo. Super cool.
Thank you.
I think we also have Keating who's been working on the DaoHaus integration using Ceramic for user profiles. I'll also post, we just shared a blog post about this last week. I'll also post that in the chat if you guys want to read up a little bit more. But Keating, you want to hop on and do a quick demo?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, is that the wrong? Sorry, it's the wrong screen. All right. Did you guys see DaoHaus?
Yep, you're good.
Cool. So well, for anyone who doesn't know, DaoHaus is a platform to kind of create and manage Moloch DAOs, and some big DAOs that are on DaoHaus are like Raid Guild, Metacartel Ventures, and we were using 3-box profiles, and recently migrated our profiles to use Ceramic. And to sort of demo the flow for a user here, they would go to their DAO. They would go edit their profile, connect to Ceramic. And this is all live right now, so anyone who is a user on DaoHaus can go and update their profile. So we can, modify something. Save it, just update it here, and then also in the members sort of section. So right now it's like a very basic profile integration, but this is kind of like our first foray into Ceramic and sort of the power of decentralized data. And we're exploring integrating more, integrating Ceramic into more parts of the app. Cool. Any questions?
Keating, what else are you thinking about using Ceramic for?
One of the things we've been talking about is potentially like DAO metadata. So right now, like users manage their DAO metadata kind of, we keep everything sort of in S3. So that's one potential use case. Right now, like the big push for us is we're coming out with DaoHaus v3, soon. So we've been planning and looking to sort of make that app as decentralized as possible. So pretty much like we're evaluating every sort of source of data we use to see, can we make this decentralized? Would this work in Ceramic or another decentralized solution? So that's kind of what we're going through right now. But we've talked about DAO metadata recently. Oh yeah, another thing that would be interesting that for us, it's we would want DAO members to manage their data based on like their shares and loot within a DAO. And one of the things we've talked about is potentially exploring making some sort of Moloch DID so users could manage their data from a Moloch DAO. Because right now the safe ID would be would create some user friction sort of in a Moloch setup. Cool. Any other questions?
I'm actually wondering if you can just give like a kind of brief overview of the capabilities of DaoHaus in general. I'm not really familiar with it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so DaoHaus basically allows you to summon a DAO. So if I go to the hub, so basically summoning means creating a DAO, and you can specify sort of the voting period for your proposals, grace period, and the big benefit of like a Moloch DAO is that you always have exit rights. So whenever you join a DAO, you have shares in loot, and there's a shared sort of vault with the funds, and you can always exit at any moment. It's not like protected by like a small group of people that control a multi-sig. Everyone has sort of their rights defined by their shares and their loot, and you can make proposals to manage that shared vault among other things. So you can summon, you can create proposals. I don't know if I'm signed into this one. We also have boost capabilities. So these are kind of like add-ons to help manage your DAO. So like DAO books would be like accounting purposes. We have integrations with Discord, Discourse, Disperse. So really it's kind of just a platform to manage your community, your DAOs. So we can take a look at like a bigger DAO and kind of see like how what activity is going on real quick. Sorry. So you can see all the different proposals here. And you can see like the different types of proposals. So Metacartel Ventures is kind of like a investment DAO. So they have different funding proposals for investments. And yeah, hopefully that was gave you a good sense of kind of what you can do on DaoHaus.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I have a question, if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And thanks for sharing your project. So I'm kind of a bit of a downer, and just kind of been navigating the space for a little over a year, or just about a year, I suppose. And trying to understand kind of some of the challenges with DAOs in terms of, identity and reputation. And I'm curious, with the integration with Ceramic, what you believe is like some of those opportunities in doing so, and kind of some of the benefits both for DAOs and members.
Yeah, great question. And just to reiterate, like DaoHaus is sort of a big ecosystem. I'm just a core contributor. We also have a couple other contributors on the Zoom call, like Scott and Amos. But your question was about the opportunities around like reputation and DAOs?
Sure, but also like more so to the integration you did and kind of the intent there, and maybe some of the opportunities from that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities around just like interoperability with other platforms. Like I know we worked with like Rabbit Hole to kind of set up our integration. So like anyone that uses Ceramic now will have a filled out profile on DaoHaus. So I think that's kind of like a big win there. And I in terms of like reputation and stuff, I think there's definitely like opportunities with Ceramic, and like we haven't really thought too much about that yet, but I think there's definitely potential to have some sort of like reputation based on like your activity in different DAOs on DaoHaus, and then have that potentially be interoperable with other sort of big DAO platforms.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we saw with the 3box profiles, was being able to attach your reputation to profiles that you're submitting to the DAO. It made it a lot easier for governance and understanding what types of proposals were being submitted by different participating members. So this is just the first step of being able to really enrich how you've participated across DAOs. Was one of the things that we haven't really gotten to explore yet, is showing on your IDX profile what other DAOs you're participating in and how you've participated in those. So it just widens the ecosystem's ability to judge the people that they're working with.
Okay, cool. So I think I get a sense of it. This is, at least in its current iteration, a bridge to the IDX identity stack. And similar, I guess, to maybe some of the integration with ENS on some of the other Web3 platforms where you can get your .eth address. And then, yeah, but this is probably a little bit more comprehensive then in terms of the information that's available through the Ceramic DID, I suppose.
Yeah, I can also speak to like a lot of the DAO communities that we've been working with. There's kind of like two sides. So first, there's like benefits for the DAO at an org level, and then also at the user level. So I think with what DaoHaus is doing, starting with user profiles, is kind of like a V1 and like building the foundation for this cross DAO, cross chain reputation. So one issue that a lot of DAOs that I'm involved in at least are trying to run into is that they have this influx of people who want to contribute or be involved in the community, but are struggling to onboard and have a sense of like who they should actually be bringing in and putting into positions of leadership. So actually building up this like cross-chain reputation where I can say, hey, like here's what I did in this other DAO. I can actually have other people vouch for me, and tying different accounts that are like my entry or like my gateway into these other communities that I can now use as a kind of like reputation system to apply, so to speak, to contribute to new communities is really powerful. So that's both like from an user perspective, but also from a DAO to have like more discretion on who they're bringing in, and more visibility is really big. And then another thing we're starting to see is more on like the DAO and like org profile piece. So like having, it's really hard to understand how to navigate around this, like these decentralized communities. So starting to have these like org profiles where you actually see like who is like a working group lead of like the business development working group, who else is like in different leadership positions throughout, but having all that data stored with the user in a fully open and decentralized way obviously is really important for the ethos of those communities. So yeah, those are just like a couple other things. I think like the profiles lays the initial foundation for a whole bunch of interesting use cases, but it's kind of like the table stakes you need to grow from there.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. All of that makes a lot of sense and really great to see Ceramic and DaoHaus kind of building this up. Thanks, everyone.
Great question. I see that there's another question in the chat. Okay, Scott, you answered it. Anything else that people want to chat about, or any questions related to either DaoHaus or just like in general, things that were top of mind or that people want to chat through or ask about?
Yeah, I have a demo if anyone wants to see. I've been working on it for maybe 4 or 5 days, and can I demo it?
Absolutely, the floor is yours.
Cool. I'll share the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Right, so connect with the wallet, and then there's, yeah, this calendar. The idea is to, yeah, I guess similar to Calendly, maybe a decentralized way to handle events and scheduling. And so far, I mostly worked on the UI here, so we can see different views of the calendar and navigate between months and create a new event. And there's markdown support, which is pretty cool here. And then we can enter an address of an attendee, like an Ethereum address. And yeah, I guess that's optional. And this link is shareable. So far, all the events are public. But I've been looking at the eCal specification, and that has support for private and confidential events. So I'm thinking that it would be possible to encrypt the data for the private events or confidential events. And yeah, so we can see the markdown support working here. Do I have another one? No, I don't think so. And I started working on like availability to configure that, and that would be stored in Ceramic. And I guess the idea is that it would be a tool for DAOs, hopefully. So one would be able to query like Ethereum addresses to get the availability and to schedule events with wallet owners. And yeah, it's open source. You can go to this address to check it out if you'd like, and feel free to come with any feedback or suggestions. So yeah, thanks.
Cool. So all of these events are stored on Ceramic right now?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've been using a backend API index the which basically just creates a mapping of let's see, let me share the screen again. And I can show the actual code for it. It's super simple. Oh, and I started working on, like, if one would want to import the events in an app like Google Calendar, for example, then there's an endpoint that generates ecal files. But this would be read only, so you wouldn't be able to change that. Yeah, so got some help in the Discord to create a deterministic tile. And they used this as an event, so it's basically just using the tags events and then the ID of the user. And then when a user logs in, it calls the API with a GET request with the DID. I guess maybe use the the Ethereum address instead or something, and then convert that into a DID. So yeah, I'm hoping for some kind of indexer soon to make this a bit more scalable, because I guess maintaining this index could be, I don't know. And then I also noticed there's no way of deleting events. So once you've created an event, you have to commit to it, I guess.
Well, you could always set, if one event is one file document, you could set the content to null as a way of kind of zeroing out the event, and then just filter out.
That's a good point.
Just filter out null events in the UI.
Yeah, great input.
I would love, this is awesome. I'd super love to see this get standardized as a data model in our data models repository of just like a general purpose calendar data model. I'm sure lots of other apps would find it useful to be able to store and access calendar data. So I don't know if that's something you've thought about at all or looked into.
Yeah, for sure. I looked into schema.org. They have one for events, and then I looked at the ecal specifications. So I'm guessing somewhere in between there, or some bridge, because like search engines today use structured markup, and they use the schema.org specifications. So I think it would be cool to use the same data models.
Yeah,
and then just go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that would be awesome if there's a standard already to use. But I was referring to, are you familiar with like the data models, the ceramic data models GitHub repository and like packages? Yeah, like getting it published there would make it discoverable for other people building decentralized apps on ceramic to use.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Model for calendar data.
Yeah, great idea. I'm still so I haven't finalized the actual JSON schema yet, but as soon as that's finished, I'll definitely do that.
Cool. And if you wanted, to post even just like a draft PR while you're still in progress, it could be, if you're interested in maybe trying to get input from the community and see if anyone else has other ideas about, could be a way to sort of get a kind of communal code review on your data model before you finalize it.
Yeah, that's excellent. Good idea.
What we're hoping, I think we're still early days on the data models ecosystem, but sort of the hope is that it would be a place for people to kind of propose an idea and then workshop it with the community and have multiple people kind of collaborate to build the best possible data model before it gets finalized and published. So it could be cool to try that out.
Yeah, amazing. Hey, Carl, this is awesome. Just had a question for you. I guess just on whole architecture wise, where did you I guess what were the streams specifically? Was it each event was its own stream, and I was linked to a DID that like the person who created the event could only modify, or was yeah, if you could just talk about that a little bit, that'd be great.
Sure. So yeah, each event is a stream, and then after the event is created, I make a post request to the API to index the event, and there I set the ID to I create the index for each of the participants.
Got it.
And then I just fetch so I make a GET request for the DID that signed in to get an array of all the events. And then on the client, I load these documents.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like even if this was kind of like a community calendar, even like you could have multiple users all kind of authenticate using that same DID, and collectively 3 or 4 people could be managing a single calendar. So kind of like a shared permission kind of thing. So yeah, very cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Rowan. I guess would it be possible to add controllers to? Is there support for that yet?
I think there should be. Spencer can probably speak
Sorry,
more
yeah.
about that.
Can you clarify what is the question exactly?
So there is this array of controllers in the streams.
Oh, I see.
Is that active? Is that in use?
Yes, but it is. But the array must always be of length 1. So we only support a single controller at a time right now.
Ah, okay. Because I guess what Rowan mentioned, it would be possible to add, I guess, a Gnosis address.
Safe, yeah. We do have something called SafeDid, which is based on a Gnosis Safe multisig, which would allow any one of the addresses in the multisig to make updates to the stream. That support is still kind of in alpha. There's some sort of security implications to there around like how members of the Gnosis Safe can interfere with each other, and like old members can do things. So if you're interested in exploring that more, I can give you a more detailed explanation of kind of the status, or maybe Sergey can, who might even have more context on sort of the status of that SafeDid support. But it is currently, I guess, should be considered experimental, but could be kind of a good proof of concept, at least, of how something like that might work. But yeah, we definitely have plans to invest a lot more in streams with multiple that can be written to by multiple end users in the future. But that support is fairly limited right now.
All right, cool.
Cool. I love it. Love the impromptu demo. Always welcomed. I guess before we wrap, Illyrios, if you want to chat, no pressure. I'm curious what you're thinking about the verifiable credentials data model. It's something actually it's been coming up for me in a lot of conversations the last couple of days. So like curious what you're working on, what prompted that, and just early thinking. We can review it more in detail next
Sure.
time if you're still working.
Sure. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go real quick to what I just sent as a PR. I'm working on these verifiable credentials marketplace. So the idea is that you as a user would define your claims. For example, you could have like your full name or your digital properties or different claims like older than X years, etc. So all of these will be stored in a new data model. There's 3 data models that I'm kind of proposing here. So one is the claim credentials. So claim credentials would be like the the claim itself before it actually becomes a verifiable credential. So this is the one claim that will be controlled by the DID, and the values will be encrypted for that DID. And then the user would send these claims to get verified in a marketplace of issuers. So for example, I will request verification from one of these issuers, and I could attach my claims. Sorry, it's broken at the moment, but you will get here to attach the claims, and those will get to the verifiers. The verifiers, we connect here. And I'm using ThreadDB for sending the messages between the users and the verifiers. So the verifiers will get the requests here, and they will be able to verify them. So let me see if I can show you the actual site. Yeah, so this is how it would look. You'll get the verification request, and as a issuer, I could verify this set some expiration date, and this is where I actually will create the verifiable credential, and that verifiable credential will be having another schema here in the verifiable credentials data model. This verifiable credential data model, it's very similar to a W3C verifiable credential with a few changes, but in general it's the same. And then when the user, when I send this verification back to the user, then the user can register it on chain. And I'm using for this, let me show you. I'm using for this the new EIP 712 draft for the signature, and I'm creating this EIP 712 typed data to register on chain the same verifiable credential that we are storing in Ceramic. And then after that is registered on chain, or the user gets back the signed and verifiable credential, they can also store it in this other data model called, credential registry. So this is like a general place where I can have the list of my claims, and also, if I'm a user, the list of verifiable credentials that I have issued. So I think, I've been iterating on this for some time. I think that these data models are generic enough. I try not to make assumptions on my specific application right now. So I just wanted to start sharing some of these with you, start maybe some discussion on what are your thoughts on this. I saw there was some CAP documents referencing something similar to this, like a civil passport. And I think this is something similar to what I was thinking. So yeah, this is where I'm starting right now.
Well, are you working with I saw you're demoing on the Decompass call on Friday. Are you working with that group on the data models?
Yeah, so there's going to be another demo on that working group. So I'm planning to have this working for that demo. So maybe I can record something and show you that after we get that. Something interesting here is the idea is that you can, search for the ID here, and you can get where the ID already has some credentials, and people will have this profile here, and they will have like the claims that they have in their own ceramic data store. And these verifications are pulled from a subgraph on the actual registered credentials in the contracts. So this is where the two things come together. And ideally, people will, or applications would just pull from the graph or from the ceramic data stored for things like, for example, a use case on the DAOs, if they are older than minimum age, like if that's non-suitable for work content or something like that, those kind of credentials I'm thinking could be like the first use cases. I've been talking with Baptiste from the Orbis Club Twitter-like app. So those are potential use cases that we can start looking for. So that's kind of the thinking there.
Thank you for sharing questions or thoughts from the 3Box team.
Nothing specific other than it looks cool. I mean, we've been talking about storing verifiable credentials in ceramic linked to IDX for a long time. So it's nice to see some movement there.
Cool, thanks.
Cool. Well, since we only have 3 minutes left, I guess we'll wrap it up. Thanks for dialing in, everyone. We'll do it again next month. In the meantime, see you in Discord, see you at Denver, and thanks for joining.
Thanks all.